All right, now let's get into the practical use of it. We need to understand all the theories. We understand potential ways to trade with a point and figure chart. Let's just pop right into Trader Workstation and get working on setting up our charts and going through the individual setups that you can do when it comes to this particular charting platform. So what we're going to grab is we're going to grab any chart. Let's just do the S&P 500. So we'll do SPY. And then we can decide a couple things, right? We can decide box size, we can decide color. We can basically get to that. You can double click right on the actual X's and O's. You can double click up here on this little box, and then you can actually just click and then go to settings. Click the three arrows that come up, or the three dots here, and then go to settings, and that all brings you to the same place. So I'll just quickly walk through all the settings here. We have up bars and down bars. Those are just whatever color you want. Green, red, black, purple, pink, whatever. Projection bars are bars that it looks like it may print a new X and O. We don't know yet, right? We need to see a little bit more time. Source, when it comes to how we're going to grab this, whether it's close or high and low. So close would mean the distance from the closing price to the closing price. High and low essentially means, does it trigger when it hits a new high, or does it trigger when it hits a new low? You're going to get a little bit more action if you do high and low, and then a little bit less if you do close. Now, how are you going to assign box size? So all throughout the lessons so far, I've used traditional box size, which is just the amount of dollars. So if we take, I don't know, $2 here on the S&P 500, you can see that it will update there, and you'll see way more X's and O's because SPY moves, it's a very expensive stock, so it moves $2 quite a bit. The other option here is ATR. And ATR is very interesting because ATR just stands for average true range. And the idea here is if you want to go through many charts, it would make sense as opposed to picking a dollar amount, which you'll have to change and adjust for each individual security. Because if it's a $1 stock, a $5 box size, you're not going to get anything. If vice versa, if you're using a very expensive stock, like $1,000 stock, then a $1 box size is going to give you a whole lot of data. You can use ATR, and this just takes how much the stock normally moves, and if it moves beyond that, then you get a new X. And then same with the reversal amount. If it gets 2 times an ATR, it will reverse to an O if you're seeing X's, or it'll reverse to an X if you're seeing O. The main takeaway from using an ATR is that it will adapt per security. So whether you're looking at a dollar security or $100 security, whether you're looking for high volatility or low volatility, ATR is a pretty good way of looking at it. And then again, just more price lines and colors. After that, that's about all the settings that you have to do. So what I generally do is I want to play with those settings when I'm analyzing an asset so that I don't see a whole lot of data and I don't see too little data, right? I don't want a single chart to go all the way back to the 1970s because that's just going to show me I'm going to be waiting years for more action to take place because I'm picking that size. And same the other way, right? We want to make sure that we're not seeing too much data. So let's just do traditional to make it simple again. And we'll do, I don't know, a $5 move here on the S&P 500. Then sometimes you notice these take a little bit to load. Again, it's an interesting set of data, and it's a lot of data. And when it comes to setup, that's all there is to it. So, we're watching the market here. You notice I just drew out this line just because this was the prior highs of that 2020-21 market. So then you can draw lines on this just like the other charts that we've talked about. You can play with it just like we've talked about with other traditional charts. And then what you'll notice is that as opposed to there being a countdown to the end of a candle where new data will take place, what we need is a certain amount of movement to take place. So right now, for this security in the S&P 500, we've seen O's, and we have a $5 box size. So we will not see a new update to this chart until one of two things happens. One, the S&P 500 moves down $5, which will print us a new O, or the S&P 500 moves up $10, which will then change this to an X. And then I'm able to take price action. So the idea behind this makes a lot of sense to me. I'm not really concerned with what a stock does each individual day. What I want to see is this overall price movement. So, like I mentioned in the other course, I want to take a look and I want to get a bias on a stock for any number of reasons, right? We could use traditional charting, we could use candlestick charting to gather a bias, we could use the the ability to use fundamental analysis. There could be a sector that we're interested in, a story when it comes to AI or some new drug or something that's coming out, and we develop our bias in that way. And then what point and figure charting does fantastic is it cuts out the noise behind that bias. So instead of us reacting every time there's a wick or a big move up or a big move down in the individual stock, we have our fundamental reason, or we have our story reason that we are interested, or even a technical, long-term technical reason that we are interested in a security. And then from there, the point and figure charts will say, okay, this is where you get involved. This is where the trend is looking like it's changed, and it's all avoided. And the beauty of it is I was able to show you all the settings in just a matter of minutes. There's not a lot of settings to them. You just really need to think about what you want to use as a box size for your individual security, and that may take some play back and forth based off what it is that you're researching. The ATR method is very interesting, something that will adapt for you. Or if you want to get into the nitty gritty, you can start playing with these individual traditional box sizes.